I wanted to ask you, so what happens to, okay, for example, I understand where you're coming from. Ali has to accept I'm a Okoto. I'm also a married man, and I got married way before social media and everything. So now at this position, yes, you have to accept Okoto. Like, what do you do? Do you pack up and just leave for no reason? Or do you play the game while you're, like the way Diesel says, he knows I'm a Okotwa, but there are certain things that he does and he doesn't do. Ali is in denial. That's why a lot of things are happening to him, because he's refusing to open up his eye. But for now, when you, and I'm not trying to justify my position.
Wait a minute. Tumefika wapi? Allah. We have CG. This is a conversation that happened 2 years ago when he was 38 years old. Now he's 40. Anyway, I don't want to preempt anything because we have been wrong the whole time about where his pain is coming from. He wants us to believe that we have been wrong the whole time. But here is him from the future in his own words. I don't want to even say in ABCD. No. In his own words. CG, take it away.
I wanted to ask you, so what happens to, okay, for example, I understand where you're coming from. Ali has to accept I'm a Okoto. I'm also a married man, and I got married way before social media and everything. So now at this position, yes, you have to accept Okoto. Like, what do you do? Do you pack up and just leave for no reason? Or do you play the game while you're, like the way Diesel says, he knows I'm a Okotwa, but there are certain things that he does and he doesn't do. Ali is in denial. That's why a lot of things are happening to him, because he's refusing to open up his eye. But for now, when you, and I'm not trying to justify my position to say that maybe I'm awake, but what do you do?
A logical question would be, if you know you're Okotwa, why are you trying to find another?
The voice you are hearing is that of Mr. Rich. It's a young man, maybe he's now 25 years old. We know him for a couple of years now. This is Rich. He's single, he's not married. And he is the guy who is going to guide us to the entire conversation with CG. CG is our modern day ladyboy, the used condom face.
Reason to move. Because that's already a reason in itself. Like, your answer is in your question.
No, but you see, before, the way marriage was packaged, when we were younger, we were told you finish school, you get married. A lot of people bought that system, right? So you get into the marriage with good intentions, and then now.
No, a lot of people did not buy that. You bought it. You got married when you were 20. You've now been in marriage for 20 years. Nobody packaged marriage for you at 20. You packaged it for yourself. Take accountability. Where have we had that one before?
With all this learning about how women behave, as you're growing in the marriage, because when you get married, you're still growing as an individual. As Kibe says that you're still like Ali is still a child, because he has refused to grow and see all these things as he progresses. And maybe the only way he can grow a bit faster is maybe being single and seeing the things a different way. But now, once you're in the marriage, there's no reason for you to just pack up and leave for no reason.
You yourself, you have admitted, you know you've been Okotwa. So if that's not a reason for you to be getting out of marriage, then it means that you are okay with that being, with that Kokotoa story. And that's the story Kibe was talking about today earlier, when he said that so many men have accepted to be punies. And when you've accepted to be a puny, no one else can help you, you know. As you, how do you expect anyone else now to advise you on such an issue? You're okay in your peril, you're okay in your situation. What else do you want?
But if you think about it, like, let's say if you go into a business and you do a 30-70 deal, right?
This is the thing with married men. They can never speak about themselves. Every time they want to be an analogy. You heard him in previous videos when he's walking in the empty streets of Japan. That's a hypothesis. That's a hypothesis. He's talking about himself. But that's a hypothesis. That's a hypothesis. So now he is going to take his life, his marriage life, the failure of it, into a business proposition. And where he is going to tell us, oh, how about you enter into a business deal, partnership, and then you don't know that you are only benefiting 30% and the partner is benefiting 70%. He's talking about himself as a married man. He is the 30% and the wife is 70%. But he cannot let that escape between his lips, because married men have no truth left in them.
Expect anyone else now to advise you on such an issue. You're okay in your peril, you're okay in your situation. What else do you want?
But if you think about it, like, let's say if you go into a business and you do a 30-70 deal, right? And you carry on for a year or two or even 5 or whatever.
18.
You're benefiting.
18.
Even in your 30-70 deal, whether whether you know the truth or not. Later on, maybe you come and you look at the books, or someone gives you an email and tells you, hey, by the way, you would have been making X times 100.
You see, now what he's talking about, if somebody else came and told you, it's because he has been contaminated by this free world on this side, where now he has the vantage point of comparing his marriage, and most importantly, the failures of it, with the information out here. You will hear him alluding to when he got into this thing as a teenager. Reminds you of Little Dick D? When he got into this relationship as a teenager, there was no social media, and so there was no information.
Or something. Do you now go and cancel? You're already in, we say, for example, 5-10 years. Do you wake up one day and say, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore, I'm canceling the deal, but it was working for you, everything was going according to plan, but you get this new information where someone awakens you and says, oh, now you can see it this way. You cannot just go and walk away of something like that, right?
No, you should
walk away.
You should, because first of all, you come to understand that it's a 70-30 deal, which you didn't know in the first place. So there's someone who's getting 70 and I'm getting 30, which I shouldn't. In this case,
I want you for a moment to appreciate the intellect that is in Rich. Rich is half his age. Rich is half his age. 2 years ago and today, Rich is still half his age. Never married, and he has his own preferences. But of importance is he is single and half his age, and he still have this information because he has spent time to observe how the game is played before deciding whether to play it or not. UsedCondomFace here is blaming the society for letting him jump into it without the information.
You should, because first of all, you come to understand that it's a 70-30 deal, which you didn't know in the first place. So there's someone who's getting 70 and I'm getting 30, which I shouldn't. In this case, I was getting into it in my mind fixated on having 50-50 on this. So if I'm in bed with a liar, if I'm in bed with someone who's hiding the game from me, if I understand the game, I should probably stop playing it. Because first of all, if it comes to like say an example of the magicians that we were watching when we were kids. If you come to understand the trick, you don't keep watching that trick again. You get off it or chase another better trick that you don't know about, which will keep you interested or maybe engaged in it. So if you're in bed with a liar, you realize they were getting 70 and they made you think that you're getting 50. And now you're open to that reality. On my side, I would walk out.
But you see, also, I agree with what you're saying, and I see what you're saying. If you look at the situation, even the women themselves are not aware of the 70-30 deal.
They are.
Right? It's a system that has designed that 70-30 deal.
They are.
So both parties, you and whoever the partner that you're getting, marriage is advocated, yes, by women, but by society.
Yeah.
So before social media, it was the people around you are telling you, no, hata mimi nimeolewa, you should do the same. So you just follow suit going that direction. And I think it was because the men were okotrod before. So we were being pushed to be okotrod together.
Where is your accountability?
But now once you've gotten to the other side and you're doing your thing, you've invested, we call it an empire, you've been building and you're doing this. And I don't like the term empire, but you've been building the foundation, you've built everything. But now when you came to the roof, or when you're at the roof, someone comes and tells you, hey, my neighbor's house, have you seen that house that was L-shaped and it doesn't have a normal roof? The design of the roof has changed since you've been building for 10 years. Do you demolish your house and go start building that house that you're seeing across? Or do you play the game? Do you find ways of renovating your house or building it in a way that it sounds to you, not to what you're seeing across?
His marriage.
Because you might convince me that you're single and you're enjoying it, but there's pros and cons to you being single, there is pros and cons for me being married.
Tell us more.
Yet at the same time, okay.
Sorry, you could have gone on. If you haven't learned
at the same time, the underline is yes, umeokotwa. We understand the okotwa part. We got in to okotwa. Now, once you're there, what's the move? You demolish your house and start building that L-shaped house or floating Kenyan roof style.
Now, you have to pay attention to the analogies he's using because he cannot let him speak about himself in the first place. So he is saying he's come out here and he has realized that his marriage is not working. And it's because he is consuming this information out here. And he is looking at people who have realized that and done something about that information. They have left the marriage, but he has not. So now he is looking for a comfort zone where he can make it okay for him to stay in the relationship, even though he is confronted with the information that it's not working. And the people who realize it's not working for them and did something about it by leaving by leaving the relationship, they seem to be doing better than he is doing. Otherwise, we would not be having this conversation. So that is his dilemma.
When you approach it from, when you approach it from a point of fear, you'll probably just stick around and wait for your last bullet.
Wow.
Understand? You'll just wait for you to be blown up, because this thing that you say you are building, this house that you say you're building, in the first place, you're building it with a liar, and you are the person who's like who's being used to build it. So when you realize that you are the person who's being used to build it, and it's not benefiting you to the 50%, it's only benefiting the other party at 70 and you at 30 or 25, using the analogy that you used, then I don't see why I should use my energy still to keep building it. I should try use my energy to build something that will benefit me 100 or 70% somehow. Elsewhere, if it means it's this house and kick this person out who's benefiting 70% from my sweat, that would be the best option. But if it's not an option for me, I should get out and get where I can build 100% for myself. Like, but if it doesn't make sense to you in such a manner, and the kiokoto you're waiting now becomes even bigger, and the whole house now becomes 100% to the other person, how will you convince people that you are doing some work that will benefit you in the future? I would have.
Let me tell you how he does that. You see, he has realized that his relationship is not working. He has realized that he is not a man enough to do something about it. Because when he comes on this side of the information, he sees men who have done something about that information when they were in his possession. He is not man enough to disconnect and start over like a man. Number one, remember he got into this thing as a teenager. 1920. With a woman who is 1 year younger than him. So he's 20, she's 19. At 20, as a man, you're at the bottom of the food chain. As a 19-year-old, as a woman, you're at the top of the food chain. So her opportunities skyrocketed and she stagnated. It's not even that he plateaued. He would have plateaued if his chances had a chance. He had no chance. He is 20. He is nothing. So there is not even a chance of, oh, my career was going this way and then it plateaued. No, he had not even started. Nothing, finished, quished. And the woman is going this way. So he is here now, is a desperate house husband. And this information that Rich is giving him is too much for him because he is not equipped to act on it. So what does he become? He becomes a terrorist. He becomes a suicide bomber. He becomes a school shooter. Literally. He is walking around with a gun, with a vest on his shoulders, looking for them that did something about their relationships. And he want to go Allahu Akbar on them. That's where this anger is coming from. He is looking at Kibe, he left. He is looking at George, he left. He is looking at whomever he is in his head, they left. And I'm here stuck because I don't have the skills. I don't have the information. The woman has skyrocketed. I have stagnated. You guys are telling me to go, but you did it in your late 20s, in your early 30s. I don't have that vantage point. I have never grown. I am still a boy. You are going to hear him saying he is still a boy that has never grown. So the only option left for him as a black human being with the class of the blacks is to kill those other ones that seem to be doing better after escaping the situation he is currently in. I'll let you listen to the rest of it.
95% of it is true, that a lot of marriages are not working, and especially now. If all these things was to happen today, I would not be in the same in that position, in the same position. But from the past, if you look at 2007 to maybe 2014, the drum beats for marriage were totally different. So now looking at it now, the drum beats are totally different, where everyone is saying they're not working. And I understand where Rich is coming from. He's coming from looking at it from outside. But what I don't see is his idea of demolishing the house just because he looks at it that way, which, according to their knowledge, makes sense. But there will be a lot of benefit if you would stay, not if you stay in it to be occulted, but to awaken within the marriage. And she has to carry on growing, and you meet in a point where you have sort of, not similarities. I hate the idea of similarities in marriage, but you have an understanding of this is your role as a man and this is your role as a woman. But the ideology of today, where everyone is saying marriage is not working and women are this and this, also has a little bit of holes where you're looking at it from a single perspective. And I, as a married man, I can look at your single life and point and poke holes and say it lacks this, it lacks that, it lacks that. So that's the perspective I was trying to paint.
You have said before that your marriage started before this social media era. So there was a point of lack of information, lack of full disclosure that was in your time. So if this light that has come through to you at the moment, and you can see and you can understand why your marriage is going on in this direction that it's going, and you can see it's not working for you, it's working for someone else, well then, if that's a reality at the moment, why don't you apply it in your life? Why don't you apply it in your life with this newly found light? You understand? I might not have experiential knowledge when it comes to marriage, but when it comes to logic and applying things in reality, it's something that we all have.
But when you're coming with that opinion, or when you're looking at it, is it a fear-based opinion? Because I've been listening to the space for quite a while.
On my side, I think
people,
sorry. On my case, I think you are the one coming to it with a fear-based.
I wanted to ask you. So what happens to? Okay, for example, I understand where you're coming from. Ali has to accept I'm a Okoto. I'm also a married man.
Approach, because now you're fearing there's something that you're going to lose, and with the mentality
not really.
Are you sure?
I think you're getting me wrong. Me have already told you I'm in the marriage. I already see it for what it is.
Exactly, and the reason you're not getting a solution, and the reason you're not going to directly to the solution of you being Kwakotwa is because you understand you have been Kwakotwa first of all, but you are not courageous enough to go to the solution of maybe getting rid of it because you are fearful there's something that you have you have created.
So now Kibe comes in. And I have good news and good news. Which one do you want to hear first? The good news is he had a conversation with Kibe. The other good news is I did not have a conversation with him. I did not have a conversation with him. So, which now takes us to this point. his anger towards me, whatever perception of what you want to call anger, is not because I have had an interaction with him, because I have never. It's because I represent what could have been. There is no other way of looking at it. If you look at his manifesto, you know, this guy had a long manifesto like somebody who is about to Allahu Akbar himself. And the things he talked about me are really the true things in his heart that bothers him to hell. The things that bother him to hell. And if you look at those things, those are the replica manifestation of what could have been him if he had done what I had done. And he hasn't. And he hasn't. I admitted the other day that I never spent enough time in Africa. So maybe I don't understand this projection that Africans seem to have. And it originates from the history of the composition of Africa, from colonialism, where it's always somebody else's fault. I am not here because somebody prevented me to be here. So this information is very new to me. I have spent more of my adult life away from Kenya than I spent when I was in Kenya. Actually, twice. I have spent twice of my adulthood away from Kenya than I did when I became an adult in Kenya. So my interactions with black people and the limitations that they hang on to so much as a reason for their failure is from observation. And so it's only through this that I can understand him now. And in a very twisted way, I am glad that I am his punching bag. Because as long as he is angry at me, he is not shooting at a school. As long as he is angry at me, he is not blowing himself up in a shopping mall. As long as he is angry at me, he is not blowing himself up in an airplane. So, for what it's worth, take your best shot.
And you don't want this approach because now you're fearing there's something that you're going to lose, and with the mentality
not really.
Are you sure?
I think you're getting me wrong. Me have already told you I'm in the marriage. I already see it for what it is.
Exactly, and the reason you're not getting a solution, and the reason you're not going to directly to the solution of you being Kwakotwa is because you understand you have been Kwakotwa first of all, but you are not courageous enough to go to the solution of maybe getting rid of it because you are fearful there's something that you have you have created and you don't want to